Hello everybody and welcome to the video. My name is Midway and I'm having a wonderful day. I sure hope you are too. Today we're gonna be revisiting the best class tier list sort of for the Legend of Mushroom with the hand of Aptoide. More on that later, right? But a little while ago we did a video covering what's the best class in the Legend of Mushroom, right? It's a game where you can choose to go from a little mushroom all the way up to one of the three classes that there's available: the warrior, the archer, and the mage. Then, well, there's a question what you want to be choosing, right? There's aesthetic to it, but there's also obviously a meta reason for it, right? There's a best DPS class, there's a best PvP class, and there's all around just a better choice. Obviously, it's a game where if you are just ahead of everybody else in different avenues, you're just gonna be beating everybody else no matter your class, but there is also a choice to be made, so we're gonna be going through it right now, right? So let's just quickly assess what the classes are and what they look like, just like we did before, right? So right now I'm playing a mage. I'm just about to hit level 100, right? And once you get to level 100, you can evolve right away once more, right? So you actually, at that point, you get to actually become a human. After being a mushroom for so long, you get a little bit of a cooler shape, right? But you can still choose to be a mushroom if you so desire. But nonetheless, there is also the skill that you unlock, right? It's at level 100 once you get your final skill and your build is sort of complete. Obviously, it's gonna be the evolution, I think it's called. Let me remember if I don't click away every time, but there is going to be the awakening, if it is called, right? That's when your active skill actually just becomes a lot more powerful, and it unlocks an extra ability, right? It does an extra effect, so it also affects what you kind of want to be choosing. But nonetheless, getting to that point still not that easy, right? That's the awakening point. I think we are not even able to be awakened yet, right? So let's just recap from it, right? You are just a little shroomy. You don't really have much choice right there. You get to level 15 pretty much in the first couple minutes, half an hour, whatever. It's really damn quick. You still don't have a choice here, but once you get to level 30, you gotta reevaluate, right? Now, most people started off just being a mage, and now being a mage early on, it's a pretty damn powerful choice. It just does a lot of damage. It just has the little skill, which is just gonna give you a lot of skill crit, just more damage. The stun on the basic attacks can stun the targets, right? That is also pretty damn powerful, but still, once I've played a little bit more of the game, I've come to realize that stuns don't really matter too much when you're just blowing up the enemy in no time, or you're just evading everything, or you're not even able to hit the enemy because they're just evading, right? So stuns on themselves, they're not that powerful, but it's not something you should overlook. Now, of course, the mage just has a lot of attack, right? That's the main thing of it. It just does so much damage. Now, let's compare these to what an archer gets from the get-go, and it's just the ability to increase the combo damage received, so right, so you can just deal also a hell of a lot of damage with combos, but this is a lot more gear dependent, right? You need to be stacking combo in order to these be a lot more effective, right? That's why archers early on, they're not that powerful. Until you get a little bit of gear, you're able to actually choose a little bit more of what you are building. It's not always going to be the case that you just want to equip the piece with the highest tier you have, or the piece with the highest stats. There's going to be considerations here to be made in the case of stats, right? And one of those is going to be exactly this. Just having more combo is going to be increasing your combo damage by a lot, because you're just going to be comboing more, and therefore once you use your active ability, the combo damage increase is going to take place if you are an archer, right? So that's a big consideration when it comes to gearing by playing an archer, right? So early on, straight up just more damage. Mages are better, but with proper gearing, archers speed rocket and get a lot of damage. That's what you're going to be seeing a lot of archers on the higher tiers, just whales playing archers. But let's not just run too far ahead of ourselves. We also have, of course, extra combo on that, so you just from the baseline just have more combo chance. And you also have extra stats like attack speed and ignore evasion. That's just good. That's just pretty good stuff. Now let's move on to the warriors early on, and that's gonna be just the ability to increase the counter damage. So once again, you need to have those stats in order to be able to counter, so that you can benefit from this active part, or rather, the active part of after you use the ability, you do the increased counter damage for 5 seconds, right? So you are more depending on the counter, but once again, you just get more counter and counter multiplier from the get-go. So you have a little bit of that bonus, but you're still kind of gear dependent there. However, that's also a difference from mages. Mages don't really get that benefit out of their main skill, the active skill. They just get the stuns, but they just have baseline extra damage built into their kit. Now you will also, of course, get more defense as a warrior. Now, as we grow and to the different choices between the spellcasters and the healers. Now, in my previous video, I talked about the difference between spellcasters and healers. Spellcasters just get a level, I think it's level 50, they get the skill damage or skill crit damage increase, which is massive. Just 50% extra skill crit damage is a lot of damage, basically. And then as a healer, you would rather, instead of that, get the active skill region. Now, I was thinking, well, as you get more damage overall, just having more active skills overall will just be better, right? That's kind of a build path. It is a viable build path if you are stacking the right type of stats. If you're really going for very, very high skill crit damage and skill crit kind of build with your gear, then just going for more skills is going to be better, right? But they can always just evade your attacks, right? So there's a bit of a trade-off right there. Now, it's what's the better choice? Kind of really depends. Early on, I would obviously just go with the spellcaster, but if you had the right type of gear, you can really make a pretty good build by being a very blast-offish mage that just has a lot of skills and just pumps a lot of skills with a lot of skill crit and skill crit damage. You could go for that, but really it's a lot more gear dependent early on, especially than just going spellcaster and just having more baseline damage, right? Now, compare that, let's just go to the archers, right? What you got as, what's it called actually? The wind crossbower got more combo damage, so once again, if you stack combo, your whole archer build is just gonna be coming together a lot better. Once again, pretty gear dependent, but you kind of get the drill. You're starting to really depend not just on the class, but also on the gear you're getting, right? It's not just about what the best tier of gear you got, it's also about what the stats on the gear are. And I'm sure once you get to the point where you don't really get that many upgrades on your gear, you will be able to start thinking about the stats a lot more, but that point comes really far away. I'm still not even yet there. I'm still getting my next tier of gear. I'm now getting to the rainbow gear, right? So it really takes a little while to get to that point. For the most part right now, early on, it really just depends on just having better level, higher level, and having a lot of damage, right? So usually spellcaster is gonna give you a lot of that very easily without having to think a lot about that. So early on, I would still at this point just go with a spellcaster. Now the shadow sniper then just gives you crit damage bonus. It doesn't really affect too much about your combo. It doesn't actually interact with your combo really, but you do more crit damage, right? Which is just flat off basic attack, increased amount of damage. That also pairs up with the combos because you get extra attacks, but it's also a choice where you are not really that gear dependent. I would potentially go with a shadow sniper instead of your gear is not too oriented towards combo. You might get better results with a shadow sniper. Now keep in mind, of course, that rerolling costs a bunch of gems, and you'd rather use your gems for stuff that's gonna give you more power rather than just, you know, changing your build for a little while. Now on the side of warriors at level 50, you got extra counter damage, just like the archers do with the extra combo damage. It's pretty damn simple. So if you choose to be a warrior, you counter. If you choose to be an archer, you combo, right? And then if you go with the upper choice, which is the swordsman, you just get more defense. You kind of just go in the tank build. I wouldn't really go the tank build still. I think the tank build will have a place in the game at some point, but early on I wouldn't go with that because you just don't have enough damage. You'd rather have more damage to just do everything. But surviving is also a very necessary thing, right? Now on the side of Storm Priests, once you get to level 70, you get active skills, deal extra damage to targets below 50% HP, just more raw damage, just more damage from your active skills. So once again, going with the spell, Storm Priest at this point is just damn good. A lot of just raw damage. Again, most people are going this choice, but at this point you will start seeing a lot more people just go with the choice of their own that's a little bit different now. On the side of the healers, or in this case called the Chronomancers, you get prolonged active skill, excluding Blitz Assault. I don't really know what Blitz Assault skill is, but there is some skills that are going to have a duration over time, but not all of them are going to be prolonged as far as I understand. Some of them will just do one hit and that's about it. Some of them will linger for a little while, have an effect, and those will be affected, but not every single skill will be affected as far as I can tell, right? So this choice, not that great. This skill is kind of lacking compared to the active skill damage here. Increase for targets below 50% HP. In the side of the archers, the dual crossbowers, you will start to unlock the ability to just shoot 2 additional bullets during combos, right? That's insane. That's just more shots. At this point, the damage from the archers is really scaling up. If you're getting pretty good gear as an archer, you're gonna be getting a whole lot of gear, especially in PvE. As far as I understand, archers are the best in PvE. Priests, or rather mages, are the best in PvE. or actually no, I think it's PvP, it's mages, it's archers in PvE, and then the warriors are just somewhere in between. I'm not really sure where they lay, but they got their spot. They're pretty damn good in PvP as well. Now the other choice for archers is the basic attacks deal 50%, have a 50% chance to deal extra damage equal to 1% of the target's current HP. That's just nuts. That's once again just more raw damage. Once again, not too gear dependent, so also a pretty damn good choice if you are not really sure and your gear choices are still not too consistent, you're not stacking too much combo. Now berserkers here got extra reflect damage, or so they reflect 80% of basic attacks when they hit. So they just have even more counter. This is not really counter, but it's similar to counter, right? So this is a lot of just, not defense, but it's just counter attack. I'm not really sure if it's interacting with counter in any way. Otherwise, it's just more damage you get. The more damage you take, the more damage you dish. So it's kind of just a survivor kind of way, but not really healing in any way. Now here, the tanks will get a shield absorbing a bunch of max HP for 5 seconds. That's just more raw survivability. But once again, the same point kind of stands. You're not really getting more damage, you're just surviving longer, so I don't really think that's the greatest here. And eventually at the last, at level 100, not the last yet because you're not evolved, but at level 100 you will be getting your last passive skill. The next basic attack is going to deal an additional 100% damage after an active skill. Now this depends on how fast you attack, if you're able to consume. I don't know if this stacks, so once the fight starts, you know, you just throw all your active skills. I think at that point you're going to be losing out on this, right? Because you're just going to have, if it doesn't stack, you're just going to have one empowered active, or rather attack with this buff, because it's going to be overlapping with all the active skills. If it stacks, this is a lot different, and once they all come out of cooldown, if you are able to sync that up somehow, then you would really be getting a lot of benefit out of this. This can be pretty damn powerful depending on your build. If you're building into more of a just basic attack, increased damage, increased damage. If you're going for the active skills, I think you're still probably going to be going with the healer side of things. But here your stuns trigger cooldown reduction, right? So at this point you are encouraged to be stacking stun, so you get more cooldown reduction, and then you would be just launching more skills with skill crit and skill damage, and therefore you are once again become a skill machine, right? So you are really build dependent at this point. You should really pay attention to what stats you're stacking. You would be encouraged at this point to stack stun, sorry, and then skill crit and then skill damage, right? So the choices here really are kind of just depending on what your gear is. You can really make a pretty strong build if you got really damn good stats, because you can get really high levels of stun, but again, evasion really just throws everything out the window. If you face somebody with a lot of evasion, you're really almost gonna be missing half of the time, really. Then the archers, once again, they get more attacks here, so more chances just do more basic attack damage with those combos, more basic attacks. It's just more raw damage, really. It's a damn straight build, just stack combo, stack basic attack damage, stack basic attack crit, and then you just roll on the damage on everybody's faces. And then the Shadow Hunter at this point gets the attack after a critical hit, boost attack for 40% for 1 second. 1 second, that's the as I talked before, that 1 second is a pretty short duration, but the basic attack 40%, that's a lot of an increase. Depends on how much crit you have. Once again, you're gonna be getting more or less benefit out of this. You can stack it up, maybe. I'm not sure if the buff stacks, but once again, 1 second is not too much, really. So I'm not too sure. I think the lower side of things here for the archers, still a better choice, really. But once again, gear dependent. And lastly, for the side of warriors, you will be getting increased attack by 3% for every 10% HP loss. So you just become a counter machine, and the lower you get, you're just gonna be dishing out even more damage countering those attacks. They get pretty damn powerful, especially in PvP. They're really annoying to take down. They just don't die, really. And then if you just face a tank, of course, at this point, you're not gonna be able to kill them, really. Increase damage resistance by 2% for every 10% of HP lost, really. So at some point, the tanks just overlast you. You cannot take them down. Of course, if you are a whale, you can take down anything, but it just becomes a fact that you can just not take them down because they just stack so much defenses, right? So what's the better choice? Depends on your gear for many specs, especially for mages and for archers, if you're building a certain type of mage or archer. And then it just depends on what you kind of like, really. Now, at the evolution, the skills will change a little bit, and they will add a little bit of an extra effect, right? So in the case of the mages, you will get additional boost skill crit damage, right? So more damage, just raw damage, pretty good. Then That would pair really well if that was a healer skill, right? Because you want to dish out a lot of, just a lot of healer, or rather active skills, or passive skills rather, no active skills nonetheless. And then in the case of the healers, you would get the chance to just break shields. I don't think that's too useful, really. I'm still favoring here the lower side of the mages, the Dark Lords. I think the active skill on the Awakened healers not that appealing to me, but there might be a situation where those shields really become annoying. I don't see it happening though. On the side of the archers, you will be getting the additional ignore enemy evasion. That is damn powerful. No enemy evasion for 10 seconds. This is insane. This is the most powerful thing I've seen, especially for PvP. That's where the enemies will just evade like crazy with a lot of builds. So I'm really thinking that just going with an archer early on with a proper build, with a lot of combo and a lot of skill, just basic attack damage and basic attack crit is gonna be insane. And then for the Sacred Hunters, what you will be getting is the prevents targets from regenerating energy for their 6 active skills for 10 seconds. I think that's a little bit lackluster, to be fair. It's not too bad, you just gain time, but at the same time I think you'd rather get some more damage, really. And then let's move on to the warriors here. What you get is for 8 seconds you launch the targets in the air, countering when countering within 5 seconds. So you just get even more time to just dish out damage while you're countering those attacks. The enemy gets stunned for 5 seconds. I think that's what it happens here. I haven't seen this attack just yet, but I think this is pretty damn strong. For 5 seconds you can launch them in the air a lot of times, really. I'm not too sure how long they take to come down. And last but not least, the tanks, they just get a continuous restoration of 15% of max HP for 5 seconds. Once again, really damn hard to kill them. I've had pretty big struggles trying to kill some of these warriors, but they just don't dish out too much damage. On PvP, they might be pretty strong, but when it comes to just overall damage on PvE and raids and such, you'd rather not go with this. This is most likely probably either just a straight up a PvP build with you can make it work with proper damage coming, I don't know really from where, but it's viable. I would just go with the Plume Monarch if I was an archer. Pretty damn strong, probably the strongest thing you can face late game. Warbringers if you fancy a warrior, also pretty damn strong. And of course I would go with Dark Lords if I fancy a mage. Really good early on, early game option. I think it's the best early game option, and just overall really damn strong if you can make it work with the right stats, right? So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. Let me know what you might think down in the comment section. Check out Aptoide, links below in the description. If you want to set it up, just get more value for your money. You can get from a 10% extra just cashback and extra value for the money you spend in this game or any other Android game or phone game on an Android device, as well as emulators on PC. It can go all the way up to 35%. You just get those extra coins. You can use them. And when making purchases within the game, you can just use those instead of your money. Once you get the value, or rather the bonuses after making the purchases, you can use those bonuses to make even more purchases, right? So you get the same deal on Google Play. It's just going to be better value on Aptoide. And let's see if this is an upgrade. It kind of is, but you gotta look at the stats once again, right? Skill crit, really damn strong. Crit rate depending on your build you're going for, right? So learn what you should be going for. Hopefully this video was useful in the case as well of learning what stats are good and not just to put on whatever's the strongest option. Usually just looking at what numbers go up, numbers go down, right? Green versus red just tells you a really damn good clue, but it's not always the case. You might want to be favoring whatever's best for your build. So hopefully that was useful to you. Again, let me know any questions you might have down in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, and yeah, see ya.